Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Tuesday. Happy Transformation Tuesday. Hope you guys are doing well. I've had an awesome day today. I've got a big week coming up between now and this weekend where I'm delivering a 2-day transformation workshop. So for those of you guys that are coming to that event in Melbourne, I'm pumped to be able to bring the best of the best of what I know in the space of personal development to you guys this weekend in Melbourne for the transformation experience. So I'm going to be diving deep tonight into how do we gain more inspiration? How do we realign with what we're truly here to do, with our true self? As well as how do we access that, what's sometimes referred to as flow state, that state of being where it's effortless, where time just, it feels like time just completely disappears because we're so engrossed and so tuned in and so in the moment and connected to what we're doing that it just disappears. And so I'm going to be sharing that with you guys. And as you jump on, guys, give us a shout out if you're watching live or if you're in the replay. Give us some love. It's always good to have some interaction here. So if you've got some questions, please drop in and ask some questions. And I want to start by talking about inspiration, because inspiration is one of these powerful emotions where when we're connected, hey Dora, hey Andreas, good to see you guys there. Hey Dora, looking forward to seeing you on the weekend, Dora, in Melbourne. Inspiration is one of the most powerful emotions we can ever access. And when we are inspired, it's like we have a driving force internally. We have guidance. We have some sort of it's almost like we have an awareness and a sign from the universe, from our spirit, from our soul, from something within us, something greater, that we're on track, that we are aligned with what we're truly here to do. So I think inspiration is one of these powerful emotions that when we're tuned into inspiration, we know we're on the right track. We know we're getting some sort of guidance, which is really powerful. So the reason why it's important to have inspiration is because without inspiration, there's no movement, there's no drive, there's no substance for what we wanted to create. So if we're ever missing a sense of inspiration, I think it's a major clue to know that maybe we've gone a little bit off track. Maybe we haven't quite connected. I'm going to be talking about being connected, talking about when we're aligned. And I think inspiration, and whatever emotion you call it, whether you call it motivation, whether you call it inspiration, whether you call it excitement, we've all got different words for this driving force that really gets us juiced. So I'm going to use the word inspiration for you guys tonight. And I wanted to point out that there's a spectrum here of inspiration. There's 10 out of 10 jumping out of bed in the morning, so excited and so juiced and pumped at life that we're ready to go and manifest and create our ultimate destiny. Hey Matt, good to see you here. And then there's 0 out of 10, which is I'm bored with life, life's average, life's ordinary. I'm just going to go through the motions and I'm just going to get through my day. So there's a spectrum there. Now, I'm going to say that maybe 10 out of 10 every day, 100% of the time, maybe that's not realistic, but I'm saying, look, that's what I'd love to shoot for. That's what we're striving for. That's what we're aiming for. That's our vision, is to wake up every day alive and inspired. So I wanted to share with you some tools and some ways of thinking to help us get to that 10 out of 10. I know you, Matt, I know you've got some 10 out of 10 moments. I've certainly got some 10 out of 10 moments. And at times I've got some 0 moments. But on the balance of probabilities, mostly it's towards the 10 out of 10 spectrum. So I want to share some ideas and ways of thinking and some ways of being that's going to help us move more towards the 10 out of 10 inspiration on the spectrum. Because for some people, we're walking around in a trance. We might be sleepy. We're in a trance of ordinary in terms of not aspiring to actualize our greatest purpose, not wanting to step into become the greatest version of ourselves. When I say greatness, there's that in itself, greatness. When I'm talking about greatness, I'm talking about our authentic expression of who we are. I'm not necessarily talking about earning billions and billions of dollars or being on TV in front of millions of people. I'm talking about expressing what we're truly here to experience. What is our calling? What is the most authentic expression of self? That's what I'm talking about when I refer to greatness. So we're not going to be able to create a great life. We're not going to be able to create the most authentic expression of us and project that into the world unless we're willing to get up off the couch, unless we're willing to get out into the world, unless we're willing to take some risks, unless we're willing to get a couple of bruises and get on the field and play and get ready to get belted a few times, ready to take some hits, ready to take some tackles. So inspiration really starts with us having the courage to dare to dream, to be open to some new possibilities, to stretch our thinking about what is truly possible and available for our lives. And it starts with recognizing how precious life truly is. Because when we appreciate how finite life is, and just how wonderful this experience is, and just how rare this experience is that we actually get to experience life, and particularly if you're watching this video here, I'm keen to know where you guys are watching this video from. If you're watching this from any first world country in the world, like Australia or America or Canada, where we're given every luxury that you could ever want. We've given the best start of any you could possibly ever imagine. And in the year 2018, we've never been born, we've never had a greater opportunity in the history of humanity than to be born in this time with opportunity. We could do anything that we want. With the technology, with the advances in medical technology, and with the economic situation, there's all the major powers are at peace, where this is the best time in the history of the world to exist, to create what we want in life. So we've got to create a sense of inspiration and motivation, recognizing just how precious this life is, knowing that, as grim as this sounds, we're all going to die. We're all going to die. And Steve Jobs said it best when he said he didn't know of any greater inspiration than focusing on the fact that our lives are all going to end. Hey Heidi, good to see you here. Hey Bella. So our lives are all going to end. And with the advances in medical technology, who knows, we might get another 100 years. We might get another 150 years. And ultimately, that inspiration starts with recognizing how precious this life is. And then we've got to ask some key questions. We've then got to say, well, am I playing to win? Am I playing this game of life like it's a grand final? Or am I playing it like it's a warm-up game? Am I playing the game of life like this is just the preseason? And we've got to ask ourselves, what's our attitude? And maybe for some of us, we're not even on the field. Maybe some of us are just watching the game. So maybe some of us, let alone not even playing on the field, some of us are in the stands, just watching from the stands. Now, here's the thing about life. To get the most out of life, you've got to participate. You've got to be willing to get on the field. And not only be willing to get on the field, but you've got to be willing to take some hits, take some tackles, and get crunched sometimes. Because if you're playing to win, sometimes you're going to cop some beating. You're going to cop a bruise. You're going to cop you're going to break some bones. That's part of life. Hey Heidi, yeah, it's not a dress rehearsal. This is it. This is your grand final. This is it. This is the match. So there's no point saving yourself for afterwards, because there is nothing to save yourself for. This is it. So this is one way of cultivating inspiration, is recognizing that this is it, that we've got to make this count. This isn't a dress rehearsal. And I believe that when we focus on not necessarily the scarcity, or that's one way, and I certainly derive a lot of inspiration from focusing on just how short a window we do have of time, but recognizing just how precious this is and how wonderful this opportunity is for us to really make it count. So this is the theme, is making it count. Are we making every day count? Are we making every minute count? Are we making every moment, every conversation, every relationship, every opportunity that we have in life, are we making it count? Is life a dress rehearsal, or is this our grand final? So that's the first question you've got to ask yourself, and maybe give yourself a rating. Give yourself a rating from 0 to 10. Is this your grand final? Are you all in? Are you prepared to get on the field? First of all, are you on the field? And then secondly, are you playing to win? And thirdly, are you ready to take some tackles? Are you ready to take some hits? Are you ready? Are you ready to put your body on the line to get crunched, but knowing that you're going all in, knowing that you're following your passion, knowing that you're living all in, because this is it. We don't get another crack at it. Now, we might do, but do you want to gamble on it? So the point I'm making here is we've got to make it count. And there's no better way of creating inspiration and motivation and a sense of passion for our life and creating something in our life than focusing on the finite nature of we're all going to die. We're all going to die, and this is it. So for me, that I always come back to that, and that's how I derive so much motivation, inspiration for getting the most out of this life, because I'm like, I'm going to make this one count. And if it means I get crunched, if I fall on my face, if I go bankrupt, if I get taken out by following my heart and living my dream, so be it. At least I've gone in, I'm playing on the ground, I'm playing it like this is my grand final. So that's the first bit. Now, to follow on from that, we also, now that we've got the inspiration, we now need to make sure that now we're inspired. Now we're going to make sure that we're in alignment. In alignment with what? We've got to be in alignment with our spirit, with our soul. What is our heart and our spirit and our soul telling us that we're here to do in life? What are we here to do, to be, to have? What are we here to experience? And for a lot of people, and I've been like this for a lot of my life, I've been so disconnected from my higher self. I've been so in my head. I've been so concerned and preoccupied with society's version of success, with wanting to look good, with wanting to look like I've got my shit together, with getting a job or getting a career or saying that or having a conversation with someone or doing this for external reasons, for things that are outside of myself, for completely inauthentic reasons. So the key to alignment, the key to making sure that we're actually following our heart, is to tune in and be connected. We've got to tune into our heart space, and we've got to tune in and we've got to connect to ourself. We've got to be present. We need to be authentic to who and what we are. We are authentic, not to the ego, but authentic to our spirit, and to recognize, are we coming from a place of love? So we need to be aligned, we need to be connected. And in order to be connected, we need to be present, and we need to be aware of our present state awareness. So we've got to be connected, we've got to be conscious, we've got to be aware of what's unfolding within us. So we have to have a degree of consciousness to understand all the programs and the software that's running on over the top of this hardware that we've got. And one of the programs that's running is the ego. And many other programs that are running are limiting beliefs. We've got fears, we've got all sorts of things that have been loaded onto this software. And we've got traumatic experiences that happened when we were kids. We've got all sorts of fears that are playing out. And we've got the ego that's the master software that's running this machine. Now, until we become aware of how the ego is running this, then it's very difficult to be aligned to our spirit, because there's so much noise. There is so much internal dialogue. There's so much doubt. So we've got to start getting connected to self. We've got to identify, well, what's the authentic heart space voice, as opposed to what's the head space egotistical voice. And we've got to be able to discern, well, what's the difference? Am I guided by spirit, or am I being thrown off the track with my ego right now? So we need to create some really powerful distinctions around, are we being guided from spirit or ego? Now, when we're connected to our spirit, our purpose emerges. Awareness of who and what we are emerges. Our awareness of what is it that we're truly here to do? Who is it that we're here to be? And what is our mission that is there for us in life? Now, when we have that present state awareness and connection to self, we can tune into that internal guidance about what we're truly here to do. Hey Heidi, got your comment there. Very difficult to sometimes distinguish the difference. Yes, it is. And this is why the distinctions around the ego and the spirit are some of the most important distinctions that we need to be aware of. Because if we're not aware of the distinctions of the ego, and the ego in itself is a whole science in itself, it's a whole field of personal development. If we're not aware of all the distinctions of the ego, then we're unaware of when it's actually operating and how it's operating and limiting us. So it's kind of like, if we're not aware of the features and the functions of the ego, if we're not educated and aware of that, it's like we're driving around in our car with a handbrake on and we're wondering why we're not going fast. Well, it's the same kind of thing in life. When we become aware of the ego and how it plays out, we become empowered to become more connected, not only more connected, but truly and deeply connected, and having that present state awareness to our spirit and being guided from spirit. So this is a key distinction here. So we need to start to connect to self more often, more frequently. And when we connect to self, we get that internal guidance, which means we now know, well, what direction do I want to head? As opposed to, where's my ego telling me I should be going? And where is my spirit telling me I should be going? And making sure that we are course correcting and always seeking that internal guidance. So this is really, really important, really powerful, is to be authentically connected to self. And when we have that internal guidance and connection, all of a sudden life starts to align. Things just start to show up, and they start showing up easier than ever before, and it seems effortless, which leads into the third aspect, which I'm talking about now, which is being in flow, being in what's sometimes referred to as a flow state. It's a state where things occur easily and effortlessly. as I said before, it's like when you're in a flow state, you could be doing something and you're so passionate, you're so aligned that 8 hours might have gone by and it only seemed like it went like a blink. It went like a microsecond. Now, that is when you're in a flow state, is when you're so aligned and so tuned into what you're doing. It's bliss. It's perfection. So that flow state is available to everyone, and there's certain factors that you can use to tune into that. Now, the first one I want to touch on is being present. Is being present to being connected to our higher self, to our spirit, to our soul. Being truly connected in that moment to who and what we are, and actually being present to that moment. That's the first thing. Because if our attention is drifting off into the future, or if our attention's drifted off into the past, if it's drifted off into something else, then it's like we can be buying, well, to a degree, we can be buying into a movie. It's like watching a movie, and all of a sudden the movie's actually happened and it's finished, and we're like, well, what happened there? 4 hours has gone past, and I wasn't actually sure even whatever happened. However, there's the distinction here when we're brought into headspace, and all of a sudden, like when you're driving to work, all of a sudden you're driving to work, and you're just kind of like la-di-da-di-da, and all of a sudden you're at work. Now, you unconsciously drove to work. You weren't conscious of left, right, straight ahead through the roundabout. You just did it. It just unconsciously happened. Now, that would be when you've actually checked out of reality. That's not flow state. That's when you've just completely checked out. So we've got to make sure that we're going through our day truly connected and truly tuned in, feeling our way through life and being truly inspired and connected to who and what we are, and being present in that moment. So this is the really powerful aspect of, you can't be in a flow state if you're not truly present to what you're doing and being conscious of being in the moment. Now, some practical tools to round out with some practicalities. Things like mantras in the morning to start your day, going through your life philosophy, going through your purpose statement, going through why are you here, reminding ourselves on a daily basis every morning what's our philosophy, and then hour by hour, hey Daniel, good to see you here, brother. Hour by hour, actually having triggers, having alarms. I've got alarms on my phone that trigger me every hour to remind me to stay present and stay connected to heart space. Thanks, Daniel. And when we have an alarm going off every hour, that's a cue, that's an external trigger that reminds us to stay connected and present at each and every moment throughout the day. So hence we get a reminder every hour. And now for me, when my alarm goes off, sometimes I don't even need my alarm, because I know, geez, it feels like it's nearly been an hour since my alarm's gone off. I'm starting to get, I'm kind of in the moment of being connected. So when you have an alarm going off for every hour, reminding you to be connected, and you do that for a couple of years, 10 years, a decade, you're going to be connected, because it's going to be a natural habit that you're going to install and ingrain and integrate at the deepest unconscious level. So that's building a habit of being connected to self, as opposed to being connected to your head, being connected to the intellectual part of that. So some other really powerful techniques here to stay connected and stay present and stay in flow state and stay inspired is to do breathing processes. So when we're conscious of our breath, that's one of the most powerful ways of staying connected and present. Because when we focus on our breath, particularly doing a ha breath, which is which some of you, if you guys have done yoga before, or if you've done any meditation practices, the ha breath is a very empowered, slow outward breath that brings our present state awareness. So it brings us back into present state awareness and makes us become aware of the present moment, brings us back to self. So even just being aware of your breath is incredibly powerful. So there are a whole series of meditation practices that you can do, and I'm going to touch on some of those as we go through the journey in terms of the additional meditation practices and processes you can do. Some other things that you can use to really tune in to connect to flow state is having music, whether it be background ambient music or really inspiring music that really resonates with you. So using these external triggers like music and those sorts of factors to bring us back to connection is really, really powerful. Hey, Daddy, good to see you there, buddy. How are you, mate? Hope the family's well. And another aspect that you can add to the music is imagination. So as you listen to music, as you're breathing, as you're focusing your breath, as you're focusing on present state connection, using visualization, using visual cues, imagining what's unfolding. So playing internal pictures, internal movies inside your mind, adding internal dialogue, adding sounds inside your mind, adding thoughts, adding vision, adding feelings, to really create that internal movie, that internal masterpiece in the moment of visualizing what's unfolding. And one of the greatest ways to create excitement is to visualize something that you're about to do, a project or something you're about to do in advance, and imagining that unfolding really successfully, beautifully, like joyfully. And when you imagine that and create pictures, and when you create those pictures inside your mind, you evoke all sorts of emotions. So one of the greatest ways to evoke an emotion is to think of a really inspiring picture, whether it be someone that you love, or something exciting, or something in your future that's going to be really amazing. So you can create this internal movie and overlay this internal movie over whatever you're watching in your external world consistently throughout your day to evoke those emotions. And this is one of those processes that I do when I do my hourly little micro meditation. I bring up a picture in my mind, and I bring up a picture that evokes the emotion of love. And I use that word evoke, and it's a powerful word because evoke means to bring up a picture, and that then evokes a feeling. It evokes a kinesthetic. It evokes an emotion. It evokes a feeling within you. And feelings are one of the most powerful drivers of inspiration, of motivation. When we feel connected. When we feel, we have a sense of purpose. When we feel, we know we're truly alive. If we're not feeling, if we're in our head just intellectualizing and analyzing and just stuck in our head rather than our heart and in our body, there's no motivation, there's no drive, there's no sense of purpose, there's no sense of there's more to this. So creating those pictures, creating an awareness of breath, creating a connection to self, creating alignment to who and what we are and what we're truly here to do, creating awareness of what's our purpose, why are we here, why the hell are we here, and what are we here to do, and then starting and bringing it back to recognizing we have a very short window of opportunity to make our difference, to make it count, to make this an absolute masterpiece, to make this our grand final, to make this game the game that we've never played harder, we've never been more all in, we've never been more courageous and ready and willing to go all in to win this game. So again, we can ask the question, out of a scale of 0 to 10, where am I? Am I playing to win? Am I all in? Am I putting all of my money in on the last round and saying I'm all in to win? Or am I holding back and reserving myself and saving myself for who knows what? I don't know what we might be saving ourselves for, because who knows, we might not get another chance. Do you want to gamble on getting another crack at it after this one? So that's my philosophy, is let's be aware of where we are on that spectrum, and let's deliberately play the game. Let's play all in. Let's play to win. Let's play like this is a grand final. And God, life is so precious. This is the most amazing, greatest love story ever told. This is the most amazing adventure that we ever get to live. And for us to not be on this end of the spectrum, not to be following our passion, not to be pursuing and aligned with what we're truly here to do, with actualizing and living our purpose, is to sell ourselves short. It's one of the greatest tragedies of life, is to not to pursue and not to be aligned with the greatest purpose, the most authentic purpose that we can create. Hey, Daddy, good to hear your family as well, mate. Yeah. So this is really about remembering how precious life is. This is about aligning and connecting with self. And this is about remembering that it takes courage. And this is one of the master virtues that we simply must master in life. This is one of the power virtues, where without courage, well, we don't have the ability, we don't have the tenacity, we don't have the resilience to be able to go after and live our purpose, because living our purpose is not for the faint of heart. Following that heart is not, following our heart requires courage. Following our heart and being aligned with our higher purpose, that takes massive courage, it takes guts, it takes hard work, resilience, passion, determination. It's not for the faint of heart. And if it was easy, every single person on the planet will just be all in, just living their dream, doing what they love, and they'd be in bliss. But they're not. It requires courage. It requires courage to be willing to fail, to willing to flop, to willing to get it wrong, willing to look silly, willing to be embarrassed, willing to go through all those temporary human emotions and experiences. We've got to be courageous to play on the field and recognize that this is our grand final and this is it. And caring about our life so much that we're not going to care about what anyone else thinks. We're not going to outsource our emotions to the opinions of someone else. We're not going to be concerned with living mediocrity. We're not going to indulge in playing a small game. We're going to play the big game, which is our authentic self. We're going to be the highest expression of self, and we're going to go all in being who we are, being who we truly are, being the authentic the most authentic version of us, connected and aligned to our spirit and living our best life ever. Not connected to our ego, not listening to other people's opinions, not listening to others' criticisms, not worried about rejection, not worried about failing. We're going to have courage to go all in, living our greatest ever life. Hey Heidi, thank you. Courage is the key. If this resonates with you guys, give me some love, guys. Courage, I think, is one of the master virtues. And when we have that muscle of courage, so much more becomes possible, because all of a sudden now we're valuing our life to such a degree that we're willing to take action. We're willing to follow through. We're willing, as I said, we're willing to get some bruises. We're willing to break some bones on the field of life because it's our grand final. And we recognize, I'm going to make this one count. So where are you on the scale of 0 to 10? Are you all in, making it count, this is your grand final, or something else? And if you're not, check yourself before you wreck yourself, because we get one crack at it and this is it. So this isn't a dress rehearsal. Please utilize this, create inspiration, connect to self, create alignment, and then have the courage to follow through and truly embrace living your dream and going after and actualizing what you're here to do. That's my message. I'm going to keep it short and sweet for tonight, guys. Thanks, Dora. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm excited to be sharing more of this with you next Tuesday for Transformation Tuesday. Until then, for those that are coming to the Transformation Experience in Melbourne on the weekend, I'm super pumped because this is going to be a powerful weekend. So those that are coming, you're going to be very, very fortunate, because I'm going to be giving you guys first access to some really powerful new teachings and ways of being and ways of coaching. So this weekend is going to be very, very powerful, you guys, in Melbourne. So thanks, Heidi. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Dora. Thanks, Deddy. Thanks, everyone else, for jumping in. And as always, if you guys have questions during the week, please send me through your questions. Always happy to answer questions. And as always, lots of love. Wishing you guys a fantastic week. And I will see you again very, very soon. Join in next week for Transformation Tuesday. Thanks for jumping in. Cheers, Jade. Thanks, Susie. See you guys. Bye for now.